Digital Footprint Conference. I am so thrilled to be joining you. My name is Sheila Robinson Kiss, and I will be there live in just a bit. But until then, I have a very powerful message to share with you about the power of showing up big time in your business and in your life. And so much of what I've learned about showing up in life and my business in a powerful way, it didn't come from my college or graduate school experience. It came through my grandfather, Thomas Hood Robinson, amazing person. He made it to the 3rd grade in Mobile, Alabama, but he was one of the smartest people that I ever have had the honor to know. And without even knowing he was doing it, he shared with me three principles on how to really knock the ball out of the park in business and life. And I want to share those with you today. I grew up in a little town called Joliet, Illinois. Many of you may be familiar with Joliet, Illinois. Maybe you heard about it in a movie. We are famous for one thing and one thing only, and that is Statesville Prison. Statesville Prison was literally in my backyard. You could throw a stone and it would land on the prison grounds. And we didn't have a lot of money back then to do fun and interesting things. So when you're in that situation, you kind of make up your own fun. So one of the things that we used to do every Monday, we would sit across the way on the stoop from the prison, and we would watch. Each Monday is this old rusted bus delivered all the new prisoners into Statesville. And sounds kind of crazy, but for us, this was the equivalent of going to a movie or a theater. We just didn't have much to do, so you can get a visual of me with 2 little afro puffs on top of my head. And my grandfather, he was a giant. He was 6'8". I always made sure he had a full bag of moon pies, sodas, popcorn, and we would sit there. And I never forget, one Monday, this old blue bus was just jam-packed, and I looked at my grandfather. You can just see the faces of the men going into these gothic looking gates, and I looked up at my grandfather and said, "Granddaddy, what happened to all of them? What did they do?" And he stopped, very emotional, got a little tearful, and said, "Baby, they made bad choices. They made bad choices in life." And then he grabbed my shoulder and he said, "You have to promise me, no matter what happens to you in life, that you're going to do your best to remember who you are. Remember who you are and all that I've taught you, and make good choices." And these are the 3 things. Above all else, the man taught me a lot, but above all else, these are the 3 lessons that I want to share with you. Number one, don't compare yourself to anyone. Lead with your own strengths. Number 2, your job in this lifetime is to discover where you shine and share it. And number 3, find ways to spend most of your time doing what you love. Leading with our strengths. Most of us struggle and work hard to be average. And what do I mean by that? By the time everything is said and done, we've watered ourselves, our ideas, the best of who we are. They're so watered down that we can become unrecognizable to ourselves just because we're looking around and comparing. Bill Gates once said, "Don't compare yourself to anyone, because when you do that, you insult yourself." There again, it was my grandfather who taught me a most critical lesson about not comparing. Many years ago, my grandmother and grandfather, Thomas Hood and Maybelle Robinson, opened up one of the first chicken and waffle shops in the South. It was called the Mamas and the Papas. Saved their money. They were so proud to be able to open up this shop. And people came from miles around to sample these chicken and waffles, and that was really the only thing on the menu. And time went on, and people do what they do. They started asking my grandparents, this is good. We love the chicken and waffles, but why don't you add some mac and cheese, some cornbread, some collard greens? And my grandfather didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it, but he caved under the pressure. My grandmother caved under pressure and started adding all different sides to the menu. And before you know it, the traffic at Mama's and Papa's restaurant slowed down. You know why? Because their menu looked like every other menu for hundreds of miles around. No one was really coming anymore. Eventually, they had to close the door. And that was a painful lesson for my grandfather. And it was painful for me to hear that story. Total success. He had it. It was working for him. But just looking around and comparing, he got shaky and started to water himself down and water his business down. So lesson number 1 is don't compare yourself to anyone. Lead with your own strengths. There are a set of capabilities, ideas that you have. It's a rare combination, and no one else on the planet has it. You are the exclusive owner. And I say this with confidence because if you water that down, you're not going to reach the summit of your life. You're not going to reach the people that you were intended to reach. The world does not need an imitation of you. The world doesn't need any more cheap imitations. The world needs you and your services just as they are. Keep going. Yes, take time to improve. Keep an eye on things. But the essence of what you're doing, stick to it. If it's working for you, stick to it. Dare to be an original. And the second lesson that my beloved grandfather taught me was your job in this lifetime is to discover where you shine and share it. I know what I'm going to say is going to sound controversial. It may hit some people in a certain place, but I'm coming at you with the best of intentions. And what I want to say is the work that you're doing, whatever that is, whether it's sales, speaking, building trucks, whatever the case may be, it feels like it's about you. It seems like it's about you, but it's not about you. It's not about you. It is about providing a service, an essential service that is going to lift up the life of your clientele, a customer. And when you keep that at the forefront of your mind, you can just focus on where you shine and share it. Again, we didn't have a lot of money to do awesome things when I was a kid, so my grandfather and I considered ourselves 2 of the original stargazers. And we loved to go out late at night and look up at the stars. And one night I asked him, I said, Granddaddy, I noticed some of the stars are so tiny and small and they barely shine, but some of them, they're so bright. It's like they light up the sky. And he looked at me and he gave the perfect answer for a little 9-year-old kid. He said, baby, you know what? Because the stars that aren't shining very bright, they're scared. They hold back. But the stars that are so big and bright and filling up the sky, they're the ones that are most interested in helping the other stars to shine. We are all stars, even if you don't see yourself that way. We are all stars illuminating this world. The question is, do you want it to be a megawatt star and really share and really shine? Are you going to hold back? And if you're holding back, it's usually because of the first message I gave you. It's not about you. You're making it about you. Get outside of yourself. And once you get outside of yourself, those inhibitions drop and those fears drop, and you are free to be that star that is illuminating the sky for so many others. And the third thing that my grandfather, the third lesson he taught me was spend most of your time doing what you love. And you're going to be a happier person and you're going to be more successful in your business and your life. My grandfather spent most of his life working at Rainbow Bakery. And truth be told, he was grateful for his job, but he hated every minute of it. But what he loved what he loved with all his heart was his grandchildren and fishing. So we fished together frequently in this wooden, iron, rustic boat that we put together. Thank God we didn't drown. Everything worked out. I'm still here today. And I remember being out on this makeshift boat one spring afternoon, and everything was so still and so quiet. And my grandfather said, "Can you hear that?" And I said, "No, I can't hear anything." And he said, "Okay, be a little bit quieter. Baby, can you hear that?" "No, Granddaddy, I don't hear anything." And he took my hand and he put it on his chest and he said, "Can you hear that?" And I said, "Why is your heart beating so fast?" And he said, "Because I love this. I love fishing, and I love you. I love you." And he was at his best when he was with his grandchildren and he was in that old fishing boat. And what he taught me is this: sometimes in life, as we get older, we realize that we don't always have as many choices as we think we do. But one of the choices that we do have is our attitude, and to put our attention and focus toward the things that we love and toward the things that we enjoy. And that is a choice. Just making that choice is going to put you so far ahead of the pack. Why would you choose stress and duress if you don't have to? Why would you choose to do things that don't resonate with you? Go into the flow. Go into the flow of your life. How does a mother become extraordinary? How does an athlete win 10 gold medals? How can you take all that you've learned at this conference and knock the ball out of the park? How you do it is just to simply focus on it. To focus on it. You say, "Well, Sheila, I got issues, I got problems." I'm not saying that you don't. I'm saying deal with them, but put your focus on growing your business and growing your life and showing up big time. And when you show up in all your glory and all your focus and being the best of who you are, your vibration is higher and you are ready to excel and you are ready to execute because you've shown up big and you're all in. I want to tell you what I know. This is what I know. I've been all around the world, worked with so many different kinds of people. You didn't come here on a mission to fail. There are things that you need to get done, very specific things you came here to do. And you gotta show up and you gotta be present to get it done. And I encourage you to grab hold of the reins of your life and do just that. I'll see you soon.